Real, raw, and uncut. I'm TyTeav Nelson, and this is TyTeaV. Alright, y'all, welcome back. First, I guess I want to start off by saying happy holidays, y'all. Hope you're having a great day, and just happy holidays. I told y'all I love holiday time. I was just in Walmart this morning, and this guy helped me like get something, and he was like, after he was done, he was like, "Merry Christmas." And I'm like, "Merry Christmas." I love that. You know, I'm happy about the holidays. So I hope everybody is having a great day, great week, and happy holidays. Okay. All right. So today's topic is anxiety. Right. That's a big one, right? And I feel like it's natural. Anxiety is the body's natural response to stress. Okay. It's a feeling, a natural feeling that all humans experience, okay? It's a feeling of fear or nervousness or apprehension about what is about to come. Now let's talk about like how anxiety affects the brain, okay? So, you know, I'm not a rocket scientist by any means, so don't quote me on this, just get the point, okay? Okay? I like hate science, okay? So, all right, so pay attention, okay? So, basically, with anxiety, it basically sends a trigger to the brain, letting the brain know that a fear or a threat or danger is present, okay? Anxiety, just period, can make you have like shaky hands, can make you have like an uncontrol of your like breathing. It can make you even have like a shortness of breath. It can make you have an increased speaking rate, make you like talk faster. It can make your heart beat, you know. It can make you sweat. It can make, for me, like my hands sweat. My hands probably can sweat sometimes. I experience like shaky hands. Some things I don't experience, but some things I do. So just stuff like that, right? Two of the main types of anxiety I experience is performance anxiety and social anxiety. Performance anxiety is when you have anxiety before a performance, or you can have it like during a performance, or you know, before a performance. Social anxiety is when you have a fear of like social interactions due to being humiliated or judged or criticized in social interactions before in life. Like it's happened before, where people criticized you, judged you, humiliated you, embarrassed you. So now you have a fear, you know, of social interactions because you fear it happening again, basically. In this episode, I'm going to more so focus on performance anxiety, okay? And then one of my next episodes is going to be on social anxiety, okay? I've gone through a lot of therapy throughout my life, and therapy and Google and the internet, when I really think about it, helped me to create like a timeline and help me to find out like what happened. Something happened to me, traumatizing, that made me experience or made me have these anxieties, right? So first, let's talk about performance anxiety, okay? And I'm gonna share with you all like basically what I've discovered, where it stems from. I can remember me always being in the arts, you know, I was in drama club, you know, I was always performing and doing stuff like that, you know, so I can remember me like being in drama club and not really having anxiety at all, you know. I can remember my drama club, we went to Orlando. We had been rehearsing and practicing. I had to be in like in the 7th, 8th grade, and I can remember us going on this road trip to Orlando, right? And I was singing Destiny's Child, Brown Eyes. And I remember me doing this performance and me like messing up, like while singing, like literally like my voice kind of like cut off, and it was kind of awkward. Like they're just looking at me, I'm looking at them, and it was just kind of like awkward. But I was towards the end of the song, and then just kind of finished it off or whatever, and like left. The humiliation, the embarrassment that I felt. So yeah, so I remember that. And when I really think about it, I don't remember all the details about that moment. You know, I've found that I've suppressed a lot of things. You know, as an adult, I can look back on that day and think like, no big deal. I can laugh at that. But how did 12-year-old, 13-year-old TyTeav feel about that moment? For a kid, for a little girl, a young girl, that's big. It's a big thing, you know. It had a big impact. Then I remember 8th grade. I may have been in the 8th grade, and my favorite cousin, Tiffany, shout out to my girl Tiffany, her like creating this like dance routine, right? And it was like 3 other girls who did it with me, and we did this performance for my middle school, right? And I can remember me having like a little bit of anxiety before it. You know, I think my thing with anxiety is kind of like just perfectionism and just wanting everything to be perfect, wanting everything to be great. I remember us killing this performance, and when we were done, we killed it, okay? We killed it, right? And then when we were done, everybody was like clapping, 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 and then in the end, there's like a group of people that just start booing, like booing us. And we know it's just hating, they hating, right? Haters gonna hate, right? And I remember my mom and my sister and stuff being in the audience. They went from cheering to people starting to boo or whatever towards the end when I know we killed it, right? And I've shared with you all in a previous episode how I went to a horrible middle school, was bullied a lot, had so many fights, you know, and a lot of the kids in my middle school hated me for whatever their reasons were. So that's how they responded when I performed. It comes down to like science too, you know. When I research myself, it tells me that somebody who had as many fights as I have had or experienced the things that I've experienced, when I Google and research myself, it'll tell me that somebody like you, as an adult, you're gonna have, literally it gets down to the science. It was like I'm 12 times more to have experienced like attempting suicide. I'm 4 times more to have anxiety as an adult. I'm 4 times more to experience like depression as an adult. So it comes down to science, things that I talk about. When you have traumatic things happen to you, it's a human being. It all comes down to science. These are the side effects that can happen from when something traumatic happens to you, okay? It decreases like your self-confidence levels. It decreases your self-esteem levels. It increases your levels of self-doubt as well. So just being bullied in general affected me as far as anxiety and performance anxiety, just period. I've noticed that traumatic things happened to me when I was young, and I didn't notice or start experiencing the side effects until years later into my adulthood. And it took me to be in certain settings as well. Like the trauma could have happened when I was young in the 8th grade, but then I didn't know that I had the anxiety until I was placed in a certain setting. And then I'm like, what's going on? You know, and it would make me like Google or talk to my therapist and find out about it. You know, I told y'all I was raised a Jehovah's Witness. So through the Jehovah's Witness stuff, I was very involved. You know, I was like young, knocking on people's doors, talking about God. That's what I was, you know, raised doing. And they would have like these things called talks. So I would go in front of the church, or Jehovah's Witnesses call it the congregation, and we would do these talks. And so it would be me and like another woman, and we'll be on the stage and doing talks. And I can remember me not being nervous. I can remember me always being the kind of person who would raise my hand and speak. They give me the microphone, I'm answering questions. Us being in Bible study and me always raising my hand, answering questions and stuff like that. Me not feeling like any anxiety. And so now college, right? So I was a TV major, communications major. So I noticed that I had issues with anxiety too, as far as me being a communications major. You know, now I'm having to do like public speaking. there was some anxiety, but I always did well. You know, I always did great. And I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like it increased along the way, my anxiety. Like it increased, it became more extreme the more traumatic things happened to me, I believe, you know, when I really like think back on it. So I can remember me having like some anxiety or whatever, and there's like a build-up. There's a build-up. And when I say a build-up, let me give you an example, right? So say I was in class and I had a presentation to do that day, right? So say they're going in a certain order, right? So maybe it's Sarah first, then Jacob, then me. There's a build-up. Like your anxiety is increasing because you know your turn is coming. There's a build-up. So something that I would do is, say I had a presentation to do, I would try to go first so you could kind of stay away from or avoid that build-up of anxiety. And it's like I went from, when I look back through the timeline, I went from me being this outgoing, outspoken kind of person to the other extreme, somebody who didn't even want to open her mouth and talk, or have an anxiety to just open my mouth and talk because of people have been criticizing me so much or judging me so much, or you know, or picking on you, or just whatever, you know. And so when I really think about my timeline, you know, that's what I noticed. I went from one extreme to another. I can remember me even being in class, and I think it was like my senior year. I felt like I went through a period of time where I had grew so much to where I was doing so much better. The more you do something, the better and the more comfortable you become as well, right? So I felt like from my freshman year in college on out, like I was doing so great. The more I was doing it, just the better that I was getting. Then I can remember my senior year, you know, I can remember my anxiety, it seemed like it was coming back and even stronger. But I paid attention to things, you know. I can remember me getting a coffee, buying a coffee, and then going on air and performing, and me noticing that my anxiety increased. But caffeine is something that, you know, increases anxiety. So being able to like pay attention to things like that, you know, being knowledgeable about whatever you're going through as well, you know. So I knew from there on out, like the only thing that I did differently was drink a coffee before this, and my anxiety was like higher, you know. I noticed that even like working at Hooters and stuff, you know, smiling for pictures or competing in pageants and smiling nonstop, and the nerves inside my lips, something's going on, you know, and it's making my lips like quiver, you know. And I even experienced that like in an audition, like me having to smile for a picture, and my lips are like quivering, the nerves inside of my lips. And then, you know, it's embarrassing. I guess I took it well or whatever. It's like embarrassing, humiliating. And I just went home and like researched it and stuff. And it says that normally when things like that happen, it stems from something traumatizing happening, you know, in your life or whatever. Something traumatizing happened for that to like happen. After I graduated from college, I signed on to like my first agency, right? And okay, then it became, you know, just like, again, like more like performance anxiety, you know what I mean? It's just like taking a test, having anxiety before it, you know, I have to go walk into an audition, you know, and I guess sometimes you're just caring so much about something. Just caring about something so much can trigger anxiety as well, you know. You just want it so badly. You know, some tips that I would say for anxiety is like avoid alcohol, avoid like caffeine, those things like increase anxiety. Prepare, practice. If you know that you have to do some kind of public speaking event or something like that, you know, practice. Practice makes perfect, and you'll feel more comfortable going into it. Bananas, I noticed that bananas, they help decrease anxiety. I researched that. Exercise, you know, so say I had a huge pageant or something, you know, I would exercise before it decreases your anxiety. And just avoiding like sugars and stuff too. So I would look at the labels for the things that I'm eating for breakfast before I go on an audition or before I do a performance or something like that, you know. Keep my sugar, you know, amount like low as well. Something that you can do as well if you're feeling like, you know, a great deal of anxiety is take a time out, you know, just take a time out, step aside from whatever's going on, you know, and focus on your breathing no matter what. Always. That was the first thing I would think of. Anytime I'm at work and I'm feeling overwhelmed or something like that, I would focus on my breathing. Ariana Grande says, just keep breathing and breathing and breathing. Keep on breathing. Just keep breathing. You know, so just keep breathing, you know, focus on your breathing. Some other tips I would say is, it's just getting to a point where you realize the world is what it is and not caring anymore about what people think or say, just being you and doing you, just no matter what, you know, and letting your confidence come from God. You're confident through Christ. You know, not even just yourself being confident, but your confidence comes through Christ, you know, like God being with me. You know, he goes into every room with me when I do an audition. You know what I mean? Let your confidence be through Christ. You know, scriptures say, you know, like, I am God. You know, if God is with you, then who can be against you? You know, and just, you know, living by that and always knowing that and keeping that close, you know. Let your confidence being through God and nothing else. You know, I felt like I had just been stripped from so much stuff, you know, in my life. I went from being a child who was more so confident, you know, very confident, to so many traumatizing things happening to me that it decreased and stripped me from my confidence, you know, which, you know, even when I told y'all, like, you know, I had went to therapy and stuff and finding out that I was having a lot of like anxiety and mental stuff going on with me, and it was due to, you know, being bullied or due to traumatic things happening to me that made me feel some kind of way. Just knowing that people had did so much things to me that's affecting my life, affecting, you know, even my goals and my dreams. You know what I mean? Like, the effect of you being judgmental or bullying or hurting people could affect somebody from the rest of their lives, even steal your destiny from you. You know, it overlapped into like my career. You know what I mean? Like, having bad anxiety and stuff like that, all due because of some things that people did to you. It made me feel some kind of way, you know? So I just say, you know, just make sure you just like research and stuff, you know, just, and I feel like that kind of affected me too. Like, once I started knowing, like, just being aware, sometimes just being awake, being aware of what your issues are. So say I know I got an audition, right? And so I know that I'm like, hopefully my nerves are not like on rocket high, you know what I mean? And so just knowing that that could happen, you know what I mean? Or just even bartending and knowing that it can get crazy and it can increase my anxiety. It's happened before. So it's like you're waiting, you know, it can happen again. So that even like created like bad anxiety, just knowing that it could come again, it can happen again. Being anxious or having bad anxiety can even mess with like your memory or your ability to even like concentrate. You know, I'm a bartender, so somebody's telling me, oh, I will take a Bud Light, a Miller Lite, two Coors Lights, 3 Coronas, and a Malibu Pineapple, a vodka cranberry, 2 gin and tonics, blah, 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 blah. You're memorizing all this stuff or whatever, and having anxiety at the same time. It can make you forget everything you just freaking said. Like, what? Can you write that down? You know what I mean? Like, so I would just tell y'all, you start to get to a point where you take your power back, you know, and you tell yourself that, you know, you're gonna do whatever it takes, and this is who I am, and these are my dreams and my goals, and I'm gonna go after it, and I care about what nobody think, what nobody say. I don't care if they judge me, criticize me, tore me down when I was speaking up and being outspoken. And you know what, take your power back, you know. And some other tips, like making sure you're getting rest, you know, and just like spiritual things, like God, if he can allow it to happen to you, he can strip you away from it. You know, read you some scriptures, you know, have some scriptures in your pocket or in the back of your mind, so when you're about to go into that audition, you know, you say that scripture. And I try to take God into every room that I walk into. I have a big audition. God, come in this room with me, be with me, you know, and that's just being like very helpful, you know, for me. I look up like a lot of scriptures on anxiety, you know, and like fear. I'm doing an episode on fear and like worrying, and those are like future episodes or whatever. And making sure that you're just like rebuilding your confidence, you know, literally something that I take the time to do per day. And sometimes I can fall off, but something that I try to do like per day is watch a video or read an article on ways to rebuild that confidence. Even if you never had it, learning to build that confidence. You know, somebody just told me that the biggest thing that deciphers like whether or not you're gonna accomplish what you want in life, it all depends on, or you know, people's level of success depends all on their self-esteem, their confidence levels, you know. So just rebuilding yourself, researching yourself, understanding what you're going through, and don't be mad at yourself, don't beat yourself up. That would make me so upset. It would make me upset when I just felt so anxious or had bad anxiety going into an audition, or, you know, at a pageant, and I see that my nerves are like, you know, on 100, you know. Be patient with yourself, you know, and just do the work, you know. Keep rebuilding your confidence, you know, keep working at it. It's a continuous thing, and the more you do something, the more confidence you get at it, the more comfortable you do at it. So if you have an issue with speaking in front of crowds, something like that, how about just push yourself to keep speaking in front of crowds? The more you do something, the more comfortable you get at it. And I noticed that Beyonce said something that was just so empowering. You know, I admire Beyonce. I, you know, compare myself to like Beyonce. Before I make any decision, before I make any moves, I'm like, what would Beyonce do? You know what I mean? And something that she said about anxiety or nervousness was that anytime I'm feeling nervous before a show, that's how I know it's gonna be a great show. And I love that, you know. I've spent a lot of my life, you know, feeling the fear, but just doing it anyway. So no matter how you feel, you know, face your fears and do it anyway. And no, like, you're not the only one. I love that when even celebs, people who are in my industry, you know, I'm doing stuff in the public eye, and I'm gonna be further along in the public eye, you know, someday. And I love when people like, you know, Ariana Grande, Summer Walker talks about things that I experienced. You know, Ariana Grande even experiences stuff with like anxiety. So I love that they have that odd against them, but they are facing their fears every day and still doing what they love and not letting that, you know, prevent them from their dreams, you know. So you can still do it. You can still do it. Feel those fears and do it anyway. Period. Real, raw, and uncut. Again, I'm TyTeaV Nelson, y'all, and this is TyTeaV. I'll see y'all next week.